Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at standard 6.rp.A3C. Find a percent of a quantity as a rate per 100. Example, 30% of a quantity means 30/100th times the quantity. Solve problems involving finding the whole, given a part, and the percent. Percent is a part to whole ratio where the whole is 100. So you can write a percent as a fraction with a denominator of 100. So for example, 60% is equal to 60 out of 100, which can also be written as 60/100th. We can also write this as a decimal, where we'd move our decimal point 2 places. So 60% as a decimal is 0.60. Let's review our formulas for solving percent problems. Part equals percent times whole. Whole equals part divided by percent. Percent equals part divided by whole. In each of these scenarios, we must remember to convert our percent to a decimal before multiplying. A drought affects 9 out of 12 Midwestern states. What percent of the Midwestern states are affected by the drought? So here we have that 9 out of 12. So 9 is our part, 12 would be considered our whole, and we're trying to find the percent. So let's go ahead and construct our percent wheel. This helps us to have a visual representation of our formula. And since we're finding percent, we would cover the percent symbol and find that our formula for calculating percent is part divided by whole. Our part here is 9 and our whole is 12. We'll set up our division house. 9 goes on the inside, 12 is on the outside. 12 cannot go into 9, so I'm going to add a 0 and place a decimal point in my quotient. 12 goes into 90 7 times. 7 times 12 is 84. With a remainder of 6, we add another 0. 12 goes into 60 5 times. 12 times 5 is 60 with no remainder. So now we have that our percent is going to be 0.75, but we can't leave it this way. We must now multiply it by 100 to actually convert it to a percent. So that gives us 75%. So what percent of Midwestern states are affected by the drought? 75% of the states are affected. In the Bronx, 60% of the parks have tennis courts. If 18 parks have tennis courts, how many parks does the Bronx have altogether? So here we have 60%, so we know our percentage. And it says if 18 parks have tennis court, so that 18 would represent the 16%. And then we want to know how many parks does the Bronx have altogether, meaning that we're trying to find the whole. So let's go ahead and draw a percent wheel. I know my part and I know my percent. I'm trying to find whole. So if I put my finger over the W, then I see that my formula is part divided by percent, which is equal to 18 over 60%, but I must convert that 60% to a decimal. So 60%, I move my decimal 2 places, and that becomes 0.60. So I can rewrite this as 18 divided by 0.60. Now let's set up our division house. 0.60 goes on the outside, 18 is on the inside. Now this takes me back to division with decimals. So I must apply my monkey see, monkey do. So I move 1 2 places, 1 2 places. So now I'm working with 1800 divided by 60. 60 cannot go into 1, it cannot go into 18, but it can go into 180 3 times. 3 times 60 is 180. With no remainder, I bring down my 0. 60 into 0 is 0. 60 times 0 is just 0, no remainder. So here I have that the whole is 30. So there are 30 parks in the Bronx. Dejanay has a coin collection. She keeps 15 of the coins in a box, which is only 8% of her entire collection. What is the total number of coins in Dejanay's coin collection? So here we see that there are 15 that's kept in one box, but that is only 8% of her entire collection. What is the total number of coins in her collection? So here again, we're calculating the whole. We draw a percent wheel. And we have that whole is equal to part divided by percent. So let's go ahead and plug in those numbers. 15 goes on top. Now, if we convert that 8% to a decimal, we get 0.08. So if it's 8%, I'm moving 2 places, which gives me 0.08. And then I'm going to set up my division house. So the 15 goes on the inside, 0.08 is on the outside. Again, we apply our monkey see, monkey do. So 1, 2 places, 1, 2 places. So now we end up with the number 8 and 1,500. 8 cannot go into 1, but it can go into 15 once. That's 8. And if we subtract, we get 7. And we bring down our 0 for 70. 8 goes into 78 times. 8 times 8 is 64. And then I bring down the next 0. 8 goes into 67 times. 7 times 8 is 56, which leaves a remainder of 4. Now I want to keep going until I have no remainders. So I'm going to put a decimal in my quotient and add a 0. 8 into 40 is 5 times. 8 times 5 is 40. That leaves me with no remainder. So here our whole is equal to 187.5. But since we're talking about coins, we would have to say that Dejanay has approximately 187 coins because we can't account for having half of a coin. All right, so here our accurate answer is 187.5, but based on the condition of the question, we would have to say that she has 187 coins. Residents of a small city voted on whether to allow a developer to build a shopping center. The number of votes in favor of the shopping center was 4,400. The number of votes against the shopping center was 17,600. What percent of voters were in favor of building the shopping center? Now, in this example, we're given two numbers, 4,400 and 17,600. But both of these numbers represent a part. The 4,400 represent those who were in favor, and then the 17,600 represented those who were against. Now, the question is asking us what percent of the voters were in favor. Now, we know that based on our percent wheel, we need to have at least two of the three pieces of information. So either we have part and whole, part and percent and whole, so on and so forth. So in order to find the percent, we need the part and the whole. We know that the part is 4,400. Now we need to find the whole. How do you think we can go about doing that? If you said that we can add the two parts together, then you are absolutely correct. So let's go ahead and add 17,600 and 4,400 together. 7 plus 4 is 11 plus 1 is 12. So we have that the whole here is 22,000. So now we're going to be dividing 4,400 by 22,000. In order to make these numbers a little easier to work with, they both end with a lot of zeros. So we can actually eliminate some of those zeros by dividing each number by 100. So if I divided 4,400 by 100, I would be able to cancel out two zeros and just get 44. And if I did the same to 22,000, I would cancel out two zeros and get 220. So let's go ahead and set up our division. So 44 is on the inside, and then 220 is on the outside. 220 cannot go into 44, so we're going to add a decimal on top and add a 0. 220 can go into 44 twice. 2 times 220 is 440. Okay, so here we're going to work with 0.2. Now we must take our decimal and multiply it by 100. And multiplying by 100 will move two decimal places to the right. So that will be equal to 20. And then I must include my percent sign for 20%. So for those of you who need to see that 0.2 being converted, I move two decimal places to the right, 1, 2. I insert a 0 as a placeholder, and then I convert it to a percentage by adding the percent symbol. So our final answer is that 20% of the voters were in favor of building the shopping center. All of the students in the 6th grade at JHS 144 either purchased their lunch or brought their lunch from home on Wednesday. 24% of the students purchased their lunch. 380 students brought their lunch from home. How many students are in the 6th grade? So here we have that either one of two events occurred. Either they purchased their lunch or they brought it from home. Now we know percent is out of 100. So if 24% purchased their lunch, then we can subtract 24 from 100% to find out what percentage brought their lunch from home. So 100 minus 24 is going to give us 76. So we're going to take that 76 and we're going to write it next to the second statement here, and that represents 76%. So 100% in all, 24% purchased their lunch, therefore 76% brought their lunch from home. Now we see that that 76% is equal to 380 students. Now we want to know how many students are in the 6th grade in total. So to find the total, that's going to be whole. So let's go ahead and draw our circle. Okay, so here we have our wheel. And to calculate whole, we need part divided by percent as a decimal. Now, we couldn't have used the 24% because we don't know how many students that would represent. So we have to use the 76% and the 380 students. So let's go ahead and plug that in. So 380 divided by 76% as a decimal is 0.76. Let's go ahead and set up our division. So we have 380 is being divided by 0.76. Now we do monkey see, monkey do, and we'll need to move it twice here. And that leaves us with 76 being divided into 38,000. 76 cannot go into 3, cannot go into 38, but it can go into 380 5 times. 5 times 76 is 380. No remainder, we bring down a 0. 76 into 0 is 0. I bring down the next 0. 76 into 0 is 0 again, with no remainder. So here, my whole is 500. So the answer to this question, how many students are in the 6th grade? There are 500 students in the 6th grade. Thank you all for watching and have a wonderful day.